Welcome. Welcome to the video, Mind Your Language. You know, I believe that each of us is a wonderful woman just the way we are. We're wonderful but imperfect. We all have special skills, and one of my special skills that I've developed, because I grew up in a family that did a lot of blaming, was making excuses. I was a champion at making excuses. Can you relate to that? I could get out of trouble because I could always find some reason why it wasn't my fault. I wonder what your special skills are. Well, as I continued to grow up, I learned to say some negative things to myself, and that's what we're thinking about today. One thing I have said to myself for much of my life is, I'm hopeless at tech. I'm hopeless at technology. All the computer things, I like using computers, but I just don't want to know how they work or all the details. Just get it working, show me step by step, and I will do it. And what that means is that when things go wrong, I throw my hands up in the air. I'm happy that I married a man who had a career in IT, and I come along as the damsel in distress, and I wait for him to bail me out. But guess what? As I learned about this language and changing your language to empower yourself, I realized what I was doing. Every time I said I'm hopeless at tech, I was disempowering myself. I was letting go of the possibility of actually getting good at it by labeling myself hopeless. So I started getting curious, and that's what I'm inviting you today to do, is to get playfully curious and ask questions like, I wonder how I fix this. I wonder how I find out. I wonder if I can just Google it, and maybe there's a how-to video and I can work out step by step what to do all by myself. And actually, sometimes I do that. And it's so cool because I can just get unstuck and keep moving. It's amazing. And I never thought that I could do that before until I stopped saying I'm hopeless and started saying, I wonder how. I wonder how I can find out. I wonder how to do it. So my invitation for you today is to start paying attention. Pay attention to your language. What are you saying to yourself? And when you actually say that to yourself, what is that doing? And is there a better way to speak to yourself? Do you ever say to yourself, I can't do it, or I'm hopeless, or I should do it, or I ought to do this, or I must do that, or I wish it was different, or I hope this happens, or that possibility happens? Even things like I wish and I hope that sound kind of positive are actually disempowering, because you're not taking responsibility and deciding that you can actually choose to do something in this moment. The good news is that you can actually change your language starting this very minute, starting today. You can make a change. Why do I invite you to do this? Well, what you do on the inside reflects on the outside, and how you treat yourself will then flow out into how you treat everyone else as well. So it seems like a fairly introspective, introverted, self-reflective thing to do, to actually look inwards and say, what am I saying to myself? But actually it also makes a difference on the outside, because how we treat ourselves flows out to how we treat everybody else, especially our loved ones and those people we care most about. So even if you don't want to do this from a point of view of just for me, but you can also do it for other people. Whatever your motivation, that's totally fine. But it will make a difference for you and for others. So how do you get started? Well, the first thing is noticing. And one way to notice, you might notice your language, that you're starting to say, I should do this, I might do that. But the easier way to notice is to actually sense how you're feeling. If you start feeling guilty about something, if you start feeling down, if you start feeling stressed, pause and get curious and gentle and kind with yourself, but get curious and ask yourself, why am I feeling guilty right now? What's making me feel a bit down? What's just triggered that stress? As you get curious, you might realize that you're saying things to yourself. It could be a situation, sometimes it's outside our control, but sometimes there's things that we can do to speak to ourselves differently. And even if something's outside your control, then you can say, well, what can I choose? How can I choose to respond in this moment to this situation or to that person? So here are some ways to change your language. I invite you to change, whenever you think I failed, to change to saying I learned. Because if we don't fail at things, then we're never going to improve or learn or experiment. Instead of saying I hope or I wish, I invite you to say I wonder how, because that opens you up to possibilities. Similarly, if you, instead of saying I'm hopeless at something, say I'm unfamiliar, because that too can open you up to possibilities. How do you do it? What if I became familiar? What do I need to become familiar with to make that happen? And the big one, I should, I invite you to change that to I choose, because actually you can choose your response. Instead of saying I should do something, who's saying I should do that? Why do I believe that? You can actually choose your response whenever you want to. So, over to you. This week your assignment is to get playfully curious. Curious about how you're thinking. Curious about what you're saying to yourself. And as you get curious and you notice one of these things, I'm hopeless, I can't, I should, then I invite you to try these swaps. Try changing what you're saying to yourself. And get curious about how does that feel and what possibilities, what creative thinking opens up when you actually change the way you speak to yourself. I hope you have lots of fun with this. If you'd like more details about each of the suggestions that I'm making, there's a lot more detail in the 5-step challenge, Don't Should on Yourself, where each video goes into one of these suggestions for the whole video for about 5 or 6 minutes. So if you'd like more details on that, let me know. And that course is available for you if you would like to buy access to that as well. Have a wonderful week. I hope that this change of language really empowers you to make some great changes in your life. And I look forward to hearing how that's going for you. All the best and have a wonderful week. Bye for now.